Hi, my name's Scott Moore with Bellevue Fine Art Reproduction, and what I'm going to go over in this video is stitching images for paintings that you've taken photographs of. Oftentimes when you want to take a photograph of a painting, one single image will not give you enough pixels that you need to reproduce the piece. And so what you need to do is zoom in with your camera or move your camera closer and take multiple shots of the image and then stitch them together in Photoshop. So let's start with the camera work. I'm not going to show the camera as that would be a lot of work and I don't think it's necessary. This is a pretty simple concept. Basically, you will take your camera and you will make it parallel to the artwork, as parallel as possible, so the camera lens and the face of the artwork is square. And you will set up the artwork so the artwork itself can be moved and not the camera. Once you've got the camera in place and you've got that lens parallel to the artwork, you don't want to move the camera. What you really want to do is focus in there, set your camera to manual focus so the focus doesn't move again, and you get your camera set up and you take your first shot. Then you will move the painting on either the stand or however you have it set up, and take your subsequent shots. Now, in this case, I've only taken 2 pictures of this image, so it's a pretty simple stitch. Sometimes you have 4, 5, 6 in order to get enough pixels for a painting to be reproduced. But this is just going to be a simple example. So we've got these 2 halves here. We got half 1, and we've got half 2. And you can see that everything here, you can see your signature here and your signature there, and things beyond the signature wouldn't fit. And so what we see in this portion of this piece needs to be stitched in with this one to make a single image. The first thing that you're going to do is crop into the image a little bit. This is especially true if you have any kind of junk in the background, because since the background itself won't be moving, you're moving the painting, what you would end up with is a repeated pattern that Photoshop can't figure out. So we're going to crop into this just a little bit. So we've got a little bit of room around the edges of the piece for Photoshop to work with as it turns and twists and does its magic there. So we're going to save that half. Same with this half. We're going to crop into it a little bit. Now, the crops don't need to be exact from the left and the right pieces, or however many pieces you've taken a picture of. You just want to provide a little bit of room around the image so that if Photoshop has to rotate one or both halves a little tiny bit in order to make them match up, that it has a little bit of room to do so without cropping into the image. So what I've done now is I've just done that cropping and I've saved each half. Now we have 2 saved halves here, and we're going to put them together. So to put them together, it's really this simple. In Photoshop, you go over to File, Automate, Photo Merge, which was, I guess, so we've added our open files here. Now, all I really need to do is set this to auto and then blend images together and hit OK. At this point, we're going to sit for a second and watch Photoshop do its magic. It's going to stitch these 2 pieces together, and we're going to end up with an entire image. And there we have it. You can see it stitched the 2 halves together, and we've got a single painting. Now, if we look over here at the layers, you can see by looking here at the layers that it hasn't just stitched them evenly straight across. It's really done this in an uneven fashion, and that's really a good thing because it enables in Photoshop to stitch your 2 halves together without them, without being able to find that seam line. And it really is seamless. You'll never be able to find out where the stitching was actually done, even on a complex piece. What I'm going to do now is merge these down to a single piece. I want to flatten this as well. I could have just flattened it and saved a step. I'm going to rotate the image so that it's easier for me to work with on screen. I'm going to crop into this a little bit more now that I'm done. This is really all the white space I need around this piece. I might have some color editing to do, but basically this piece is all stitched and ready to go now. So I'm going to save this, and there we go. You're done. That is really all there is to photographing your own artwork in multiple pieces and then stitching them together. Really the trick in this is making sure that your camera is parallel to the artwork, so that the images themselves are not skewed as you're trying to stitch them together. The more that you can get the image flat or parallel to the camera, the better that your stitching is going to be.